All right. So welcome back today, Sunday. We'll continue our session for getting started on RO data science curriculum for data science and machine learning. Yesterday, we went through on setting up virtual environment, how you can set up Quanda environment so that you'll be able to use virtual environment on your computer. We made mention that it's a good idea to set up virtual environments so that you don't mess up with the base environment of your computer. Having virtual environment allow you to segregate or differentiate each project, isolate it with its own different configurations. So today, what we'll be able to see at the end is we're going to discuss Vscode for data science and hopefully maybe, I don't know, introduction to Markdown, which is very simple. So let's get started. Here we can see we said getting started with Vscode, right? Getting started with Vscode for data science. Why do we want to use Vscode? At the end of this session, we'll be able to understand the power and a lot of functionalities that comes with Vscode, which is suitable for data science. But before that, let me just start sharing for us on how can somebody run any Python code on our computers. Okay, let me share another thing. Let me share screen. Okay, I'm sharing again my terminal. Okay, yes. Right, can you see my terminal? Yes, I believe so. Okay. You can also see my screen, right? Can you see my screen? Okay, my GitHub repository. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. So let me make other people to be the co-host so that they will be able to monitor the session. Falalu, you are here. Make you co-host. Abdul Jalil, you are here. Let me make you co-host. Okay. So yeah. So before we dive into discussion on how we can use VS Code, let me remind us on how can you be able to run Python code on your computer, because in this course we'll be using mainly Python. There are several ways for you to run Python in your computer, but we'll stick to one that will be using in the future, which is using Jupyter. Now, most of us knew all these ways to run Python, but for the sake of people that are new to Python programming, I will take us briefly on different ways to run Python in computer. The first one is Python interpreter, which is command line. Now, when you install Python, after you install Python on your computer, you will be able to, run Python on command line. What does that mean? If you open your terminal may not be the same with my own terminals. So if you have such kind of black screen, that is what we mean by terminal. So if I have this, you can see I don't have anything. So if you open your black screen, that is terminal, and you type Python, just type Python. Let me clean this. If you type Python, you can see something here comes up, right? Python 3.913. And what kind of package am I using? Quanda, right? To do some package management. This is what we'll be able to see. Now, this is not our shell environment when you type Python. This is Python environment. So here we can use 1 + 1. You can see it's 2. This is Python. In Python, we can do addition. We can do whatsoever. For example, I can say import NumPy as NP, right? So you can see this is Python. I can say import math as, right? Something like this. I can say what is the, I can say mass the square root of 9. Oh no, mass the square root of 9. You can see it. So this is Python. But what does this mean? You are running Python on what we call Python interpreter, right? Python interpreter. This is not something very, friendly that we can use to do data science, because you can see it's black and you cannot typically use a lot of stuff such as graphic, plot, a lot of things. This is the first thing I have here. That is interactive shell. Run Python or Python 3 in the command line. That is this one. I can, if you want to exist or go out from Python, interpreter, you can type exit. And when you can see here now, I exit the terminal. So here I can say print working directly. Now I'm inside, my terminals. This is one way to run Python. You see, just the way to start to activate Python environment, I just type Python 3.0, it just starts, right? Now, that is number one way. Let me exit to go out of Python. You can also use what we call IPython, which is advanced Python interpreter. When I type IPython, you can see that IPython. If I type enter, you can see this one is coming up with something like number. It putting the line number of any script. So I can say 1 + 1. You can see it give me 2, right? I can say import mass, something like this. You can see that. I can say math. You can see here is giving me some kind of prediction of something which is not available on available on the previous one we did. So you can see this is what we call IPython. So what is IPython? IPython is an enhanced interactive Python. That means this is enhanced of the previous IPython that I show you, previous Python interpreter. So now you can see we have seen 2 ways to run Python. Number 1, using Python interpreter. Number 2, using IPython, mean interactive Python, that is enhanced interactive Python environment. So all these ways will not be using them to run Python. Why? Because they are not good for doing data science. There are better ways to run Python for data science. So this is one way I show you how to do that. But you can also run a Python script using Python, something like this. So here you can see you can also run, for example, let's assume I have Python file here. I have Python file called, square root. You can see I write import math. I define a function called find square root and then return the square root of a number. And now print, I call the function called find square root, I say 25. So this program, what will do typically is to find the square root of any number that I find. Now, so this is Python scripts. How can I run this Python script to run it to return a result? You can run this in terminal. So you can see, because I'm inside the folder called REO Machine Learning, where this script is. You can see this script is inside this folder, REO Machine Learning. Yep, it's inside. Okay, it's inside stage 1. This is the Python square root. You can see that. So I can go inside that folder. So I can say how many folder do I have here? I have this folder. I can go into the folder, see stage 1. So you can see, because I'm inside stage 1, getting started, let me see what kind of files do I have. So you can see I have this file called square root.py. So I can now say Python square root.py. This will run the Python scripts I have. So when I run this, you can see it returned 5, right? Because what I have here is print find square root of 5. When I change this one here, 9, and I save it, I can go back and run this function or file, where you can see it returned 3. So this is another way to run Python. Number 1 is to run interactively. Number 2 is script execution. What do we mean by script? In programming a file, Python file has extension .py. So anything you have inside .py extension file is Python scripts. We call any file that contain, Python statements is called a script. So this is a way to run Python. Moving where we have another way to run Python using integrated development environment. So we have several environment, IDE, what we call integrated development environment, IDE. So running Python in this way may not be useful in every situation or scenario, but there are other ways. So you can use many tools such as PyCharm, Vscode, Eclipse, and this to run, run your Python files. This is more enhanced, and this is where many people, programmers, and many other people are using to run Python environment. That is why we are going to use Visual Studio Code to do everything. But you can also have text editors such as Atom, Text, Notepad++. You can run Python in this one. But what we'll be interested today is to use what we call Jupyter Notebooks. Some of us here may not know Jupyter Notebooks, but I believe a lot of us here might already know Jupyter Notebooks. So we'll be using Jupyter Notebooks. So Jupyter Notebooks is, a way to run Python interactively that allows you to run Python interactive, to see the output, to have, to be able to see your results and experiment. So you can also run Python using online tools such as Google Colab, using Replit. So this is what we call Replit. When you go to this, you'll be able to run Python online. Google Colab, you'll be able to run Python online using Colab. Python Anywhere is, an IDE that allows you to run Python. So some of you might already know Google Colab, but some might not know Google Colab. So if we go here, Google Colab, and type it, it can take us here. You can see it, Google Colab. When we move into, more advanced, you will be able. So you can see this is what we call Google Colab. It allows you to run Python code. You can see here, I can say, 1+1. Automatically, it has already Python installed everything. So I can say 1+1 here is, let me connect to the runtime, connect to local. Oh, no, not local. You need to, okay, it's already connected. You can see 1+1 is 2. So you can see, say import math, this is it. This is what we call Google Colab. It already comes with everything installed. You don't need to install Python. You don't need to do something. So this is just to show you there are many ways to run Python, but Google Colab is one of the things you'll be doing in your machine learning and deep learning in the future, because it allows you to run many things that your local computer may not support. But Google Colab gives you some powerful, tools such as GPU to run your computer, your experiment. So this is just, to discuss briefly on different ways you can be able to run Python in different experiments. So let me stop here. If there is anybody with question before we move on, it's time to ask question. Feel free to ask question if you have before we move on. Any question?
Sir, it means that, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, go on.
It means that even if person did not set up his computer for Python, he can use Google Colab to continue creating and running Google Python.
Exactly. So that's one advantage. But yes, you can use Google Colab to do whatsoever, anything you want to do. So you can create a new file. I can say new notebook. You can see that new notebook. You can create new notebook fresh. You can see, but you need internet, unfortunately. So you must have an internet to use Google Colab, and it will be using your data and whatsoever. But if you don't care about using the data, but we will have a single session to teach you how to use Colab. In our subsequent session, we will have a session dedicated on how to use Google Colab. So you can see that you can, do a lot of stuff. And so let me move on because we'll have so. Having understand different ways to run Python, we choose to, use integrated development environment ID. We choose to use VS Code. So this is Vscode. Why do we choose Vscode? Vscode is one of the most widely used, IDEs. You can see here, Vscode is, based on, survey. It has 78% of people that prefer to use Vscode. And you can see PyCharm, you can see Vscode, Android, Vim, Jupyter Notebook. So this is one of the reasons why we choose Vscode. But why also we choose Vscode? Because Vscode has integrated what we call Jupyter Notebooks. So if you install Vscode, you will be able to use what we call Jupyter Notebook inside Vscode, which you see that different ways to run Python. We say you can use, IDE, but you can also use Jupyter Notebook. So Vscode has Jupyter Notebooks in it. So you can see it's good thing that we can do. So let's move on to what is Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebooks, formerly it was called IPython Notebook, but now it's called Jupyter Notebook, which allows you to combine text and Python. So let me show you a bit of what is. So you can see this is what we call Jupyter. It allows one to use what we call programming text and also Python code, and also allows you to integrate natural language in it. This is one of the tools that commonly used for teaching, is commonly used for machine learning, is commonly used for data science, because it allows you to do a lot of stuff with it. One of the key things you can see with Jupyter Notebook, it can be used for data science, scientific computing, machine learning. It has a lot of advantages. It combined what we call Markdown and Python code. What does that mean? It combined Markdown. It allows you to write text, natural text like this, and it allows you to write Python code. So you can combine Python code and Markdown, meaning that you can explain your experiment while you are doing it. You can write plain English, and at the same time, you write Python code. This is one of the advantage. It's quite used for data science, and it supports many languages, over 40 languages, and you can use it for reproducible research. So this is one of the reasons now, if you talk about data science, everyone is using Jupyter Notebooks for data science. So this is an example of Jupyter Notebook in Vscode. Now, let's get started. So how we can use Vscode and at the same time use Jupyter Notebook. Now, the first thing we need to do is to download Vscode. We go here and download Vscode. You can see you can just download Vscode and install it in your computer. When you install it, you'll have something like this. That's Vscode. I believe we have already installed Vscode. Now, Vscode is lightweight, meaning it's not that robust when you just download it. It's just like a baby when it's born. It doesn't have a lot of cognitive skills that can talk, that can walk, that can be able to eat. But with time, it is adding some extension on his head. Be able to recognize his mother, right? Be able to recognize his sister, right? And be able to know this is food. So likewise, if you install Vscode from the beginning, it doesn't have a lot of capabilities. It is you that you will install many extensions that allow Vscode to have become powerful. So the first thing we made mention, you need to install a lot of things in Vscode. The first one is Python. So when I install Vscode now, you will be able to see this thing. So click on this and now come here and type Python. When you type Python, you will see this. Can you see Python? So you click it and install it. Because I already installed it, I will not be able to see an install. But for you, for example, let me click here, you will see install. So when you type Python, the first one that appears, you can see it. How many people are using it? 100 million people have installed Python. So this is one way to for you to understand how usable, how common a Python extension is being used. You can see over 100 million people are using this one. Let's look at this one, which you can see 1 million people, Python extended. I don't know what it does. Python typing 532. So this is one of the most things, the first thing you need to do is to install Python installation, Python file. Okay, let's move on. The next one is Jupyter. I told you that with Vscode, you can have Jupyter installed so that you can use Jupyter extension. So you copy Jupyter and come to your VS Code here and type Jupyter. Then install the first extension, which is this one. You can see how many people are using this extension. Over 72 million people are using this extension. I see, is there any problem with my sound? People are saying it's echoing, right?
No, it's normal. It's not, there's no echo.
Okay, so you install Jupyter. You click on Jupyter and install it. I already installed Jupyter. You can see I only on install or disable. So that's what you do. So you all go and do that. Pylons is something that allow you to do, allow you to do some predictive stuff with Python. So let me show you what Pylons. Let me show you what Pylons does. Okay, so let me show you example. All right. So here I have this. Let me show you example what Python does. So here I have this. So I can say, for example, import. You can see it's predicting, like, it's telling me, import. It's trying to, allow me to import. Can you see that? So this is what we call pylons. It allows to predict, import pandas as, all this stuff. So this is one of the key features of it. You can see pylons extension is Microsoft extension that works alongside Python, is that provide fast and future-rich language. You can install what we call Markdown all-in-one. This is very important. It will help us along the way. You can type this one, Markdown all-in-one, install this one. So it allows you to have Markdown on your computer, allows us to do, something like that. We'll explain what is Markdown in future, but just now install them. We'll come back later. So let me just skip all this installation. You can see all this one you installed. There are over 1 million extensions in GitHub for Vscode. But here we just mentioned some useful one that you can go. But I also put a link, 12 extension Vscode extension, top 10 Vscode extension for data science. You can follow up and learn more about all this extension. All right. So now we have seen how we can do installation. And now that means after you finish installation, your computer, your VS Code is ready to start doing, Python and data science. All right. Let me stop here if there is any question before we now move on. Any question? All right. Yes.
So all these extensions, is it compulsory that one must install them?
Okay. So what I said is that I give a scenario like a new baby is born, right? It cannot eat, it cannot walk because it doesn't have that functionality, right? So also VS Code, when you download it today, you cannot do all this stuff. You must install them. You must install the extension of what you intend to do. If you want to do Java in VS Code, you can come here and say Java.
Sorry, it seems like doctor is facing a technical challenge. He will be back soon.
Hello. I'm sorry, my internet. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Right. Sorry, my internet just got disconnected, and yeah. Okay. Can you see my Vscode? Okay, good. Hello.
Yes, sir, we are seeing it clearly, sir.
Yes, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Right. So I was saying, let's assume we actually have did all the installation, and we want to start doing data science in Jupyter Notebook. So what we want to do is you come to your Vscode, and let me close this guy. Let me close this guy. Let me close this guy. Okay, so this is our Vscode. Let me close this guy. So this is our Vscode. Now, what you need to do is we want to start using a Jupyter Notebook on our computer, right? So what we want to do is you can come here and see what is called command palette, and you click on it. Now, everything you want to do in Vscode, this is the starting point. This is where to start it. Everything you want to find, this is where to find it. You come here, you come to command palette. But if you don't want to go click, you see some shortcut on your computer. So on my computer is Command Shift P. So if I click Command Shift P on my computer, it will open this command palette. So maybe you can also check for Windows what is the shortcut. So this is the shortcut. You can do a lot of things. For example, you can change the theme you want for the VS Code. For example, here you can see the theme. I can change the theme of my computer. I can see, you can see different theme. Mine is GitHub Dark Blind, I think, but you can see, I can say Git Dracula. You can see it change. I can say I need to change the theme maybe. Visual Studio Dark. Can you see that? I change it. So you can change the theme you want. So there are many things you can explore, but now we are not there here to explore all this stuff. So you can see the theme I'm using, right? So there are a lot of things you can do. Oh, describe the location. So here you can see, can you all see this thing on your computer, something called manage? So when you click on manage, you can come what we call command palette. Command palette. When you come to command palette, click on it, it will open something like this, command palette. So this is where you do everything. You open anything on, this is the first place. As I said, if you come here, you see a shortcut here. Mine is command Shift P. So I don't know for Windows, you also be able to see that. So I click command Shift P. Now, because I already install Jupyter, what you need to type, you can type maybe type Jupyter. Can you see? Let me see, command Shift P, I type Jupyter. You can see something, create Jupyter Notebook. Can you see that? Create Jupyter Notebook. If you don't, if you have not installed that extension called Jupyter, you'll not be able to see this Jupyter Notebook. So click on Create Jupyter Notebook. So when I click on Create Jupyter Notebook, it will create something like this. Can you see that? Create something like this. So this is what we have here in this. Open or create a Jupyter Notebook. So you can see here, open the command palette, Control+Shift+P, and type Jupyter, create new blank notebook. So here you can see I create new blank notebook, right? Alternatively, you can open an existing Jupyter file. So if you already have Jupyter Notebook file, you can just right click on it and type, open in Jupyter. If you already have a Jupyter Notebook, right, you can right click on it and click open in Jupyter. But now we want to create a new file here. That is why we say that. So command Shift P, create new Jupyter Notebook. Now that's what we mean by here. If you don't have Jupyter installed, you will be prompted to install it. Follow the instruction provided. You can see if you don't have a Jupyter, you'll be prompted to install Jupyter. But that's why we install Jupyter at the beginning. That is how to open a new Jupyter Notebook. But now I install. When I say 1+1, and run. It will not run. It must ask me, I need to select my kernel that I want to work with. Your kernel is something that we created in Quanda using Quanda. Remember yesterday we created an environment called RODS. So you cannot run Jupyter Notebook unless you select an environment. I told you that you need to define an environment where you want to, run your experiments. You need to define environment. So that's why we installed, we create environment yesterday. Now you can see something called kernel here. Can you see that? Kernel. So this one, you click it, kernel, it will ask you to select a kernel environment. Yesterday we created an environment called RODS. You can see it. I already have an environment called data science. So when I select RODS testing, when you select it here, now you can see here changes to RODS testing. Now you are ready now to do data science. You are ready. Now when I click here, you can see now it will prompt you to install something called IPyKernel package. You must install what is called IPyKernel if you are starting from the beginning. So because I didn't install IPyKernel in this environment, it is asking me. But when I click here, I select data science environment. Because I already installed IPyKernel, let me try to run it. You see it run automatically. But in my RODS, especially your own that you just create yesterday, you may not have, you might have not installed IPyKernel. So when I click here, it prompts me to install IPyKernel. I said install. So now it will install IPyKernel inside my RODS testing environment. So this is what we have here. Next, select a kernel using kernel picker. So this is a kernel picker. You can see it, kernel picker. You need to select it. After selecting a kernel picker, the language picker located in the bottom right of each code cell. So if you select, you will see a language picker, Python. You can see here is Python. It is telling you that your environment is Python environment. So now here, let me go back to data science because I already installed. So if I select Python data science, you'll be able to see, at the bottom, you'll be able to see that I have Python. You can see, because I have a lot of things here, you may not be able, I think, let me do this. I have a lot of stuff here. Understanding, if you don't have a lot of stuff, you'll be able to see at the beginning. I also, we will see that right, I enter full screen now. So now you can see I have my data science. You'll be able to see what kind of things I'm using is Python. You can see that. Now I can, if you want to create another cell, you say another cell, 1 + 1. This. So somebody will say, what is Jupyter Notebook? This is a cell as well. This is a cell. This is, if you want to create another cell, you create it like this. This is how to create a Jupyter Notebook. So how do you run a cell? So to run a cell, it just after you click here, you said, but if I have many cells, I can say run all. So here would run all the cells I have here. Right. If you want to restart, you can say restart. Here will restart everything. You can see when I restart, and I can say, okay, clear output, because here when I say 1 + 1, it gives me 2. You can see the output is coming here. I can say clear output. You can see the output is gone, right? This is what we'll be using to do data science. It's called Jupyter Notebook. But somebody can say, here, yes, I have code. When you have this, that is when you'll be able to type Python code or import Python, import pandas as NP. You can see that. You run it like this. This is how you run it. You can see that. But there is something here, note that what is called markdown. you can see something marked down. When you want to do coding, you want to write Python code, you write code. But when you want to write what we call markdown, that is one of the key features of Jupyter. You combine code and text so that you let people understand what you are doing. So here, let me say, I type this one here. I said introduction. I can type introduction to Jupyter notebooks. So you can see here, when I click here, you can see it put this one. You can see that. So this is why Jupyter Notebook is beautiful. It's used for teaching because you combine code and text. So here you can see I put this, but I can also write something. You can see here, because I want to put header one, I type this. So when I want to write plain English, I can say this is an example of Markdown, something like it. I now click here. You can see a text here, right? So this is what we call Markdown Jupyter Notebook. It allows you to combine text and code. And so that as you are writing code, you are explaining what the code means. So right, I can say, okay, below I am importing pandas. I'm importing pandas, right? If you consider, you look at here, you can see Markdown, not Python. So here, if I have this, I can, say, okay, you can see here, right? Yeah, just like you do comment when programming, but this is different from comment because it explaining you can do a lot of stuff. So we will discuss more about this, but just to let you know what Jupyter Notebook is. So let me pause here to ask if you have any question. We can attempt to answer the question before we continue. Any question? Right. So there are many, for example, now when I create this, I say one. Yes, go on.
Please, I'm asking if the Jupyter Notebook is quite different from Jupyter itself. Are they different or are they same?
You say what?
I'm asking if Jupyter Notebook is different from Jupyter.
Which Jupyter you mean?
With it seems at the extension side, there's a Jupyter, then a Jupyter Notebook.
No, it's the same Jupyter. It's the same Jupyter. That's the extension you want to install, Jupyter. When you click Jupyter, you just see Jupyter and you just install it. That is called Jupyter. It's just the name, Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter. It's the same. So yeah. Okay. So you see, this is more beautiful than running Python in this IPython that I have already shown you, like 1+1. You have this, because I cannot write comment, I cannot, interactive. So this is more beautiful, and this is where everyone is doing data science now using Jupyter. So let's move on. You can also use, shortcut Shift+Enter to, execute the code. For example, now if I write 1+1, I don't necessarily need to click here. There is a shortcut. What is the shortcut? Shift+Enter. You can see it's run. I type Shift+Enter and I run it. There are many other things that you learn. For example, here, execute above cells. So when you click here, it will execute all this above. When you click here, it will execute everything below. When I click here, it will delete the cell. You can see that I deleted. You can see I deleted. You can see I delete, right? You learn a lot of other functionalities, but as we start here, yes, does Vscode need the internet to run? No, Vscode does not need internet. You don't need to have internet to run Vscode. Yes, you don't need to have internet. All right, so you can also run multiple cells by selecting run all, run above, or something like that. So if, for example, I have one cell, I have another cell here. So how can you add a new cell? Just put your cursor here, just, below, you'll be able to see this. And so I write here, I can say 2 + 3, I can have another cell here below, 6 + 7. Let's assume this is just Python code. So now when you want to run everything in the cell, you can type here, run everything or run all here. So when I type here, it will run them all at once. Now you can save after you finish, save your Jupyter notebook. So when you finish everything, you can see here is on title, Jupyter, on title, right? So we always save our work when we, oh, yes. So Zainab Yawi is saying, does it mean that there is no need for time to use your terminal that you are using? So you can come here and say, run, no, terminal. Can you see terminal? So when I click new terminal, you can see new terminal. Then again, it's asking me here. So you can see I have my terminal here. That is one good thing with is that Vscode comes with, a lot of stuff. So that terminal you are opening, now you have an integrated terminal in Vscode. Anything you want to use, you can use the terminal in Vscode. Now you don't need to open your terminal there. If you want to use terminal, anything you want to use in terminal, you can just use terminal. So here you can see I can do my ls, you can do your git status, git, everything you are using with git, you can do it here. So we'll be using terminal to use git to push git to the our work to the repository, to do some pull requests, to do whatsoever. So just to let you know that you have integrated terminal in VS Code. Yes. Yeah, I hope this answers your question about the terminal. So how you just click here, terminal, you can see new terminal and that. But you also have a shortcut as well. If you look at what is the terminal, this is the shortcut that allows you to do that. Okay, so let's continue. Right. So you need to save your Jupyter. You can see this is on title because it's not saved. So it means we need to save it. We already know that whatever you did, you need to save. So we can come here, save, and can say save. So it prompts you where you want to save your work, right? So I can say it's showing me to save in a location. Maybe you may not be able to save the location. So, but I am saving it here. Let me finish saving. Let me click again. Save. You can see its name is called testing, right? So I saved the file in testing. So now whatsoever I did, editing, whatsoever, I will be able to see it. Yes. Any question before we move on? Any question? All right. So let's move on to the last part. You can also export your Jupyter notebook as anything. So one of the advantages when you work with Jupyter notebook, you can export it. You can export the Jupyter notebook. So let me show you how you can export. For example, here you can see something like this, -3. So when you click it, there are more things you can do. For example, there is what is called, variables. Can you see these variables? So for example, here, I have equals to 1 plus 2, b is equals to 3 plus 5. I can say print a, for example. I have, okay, print a. When I print, you can see I have the output too. But now, when you click your variable, so it will open a window for you. Hello? This will open a window called variable window that allows you to see the variables you have. You can see I have variable A, which is integer, variable B, and the value. That is what we call variable. Yep. Let me close this. So there are a lot of things that I may not go through, but you can explore the outline. So this outline, when you click it, it shows you the outline. For example, here you can see I say introduction to Jupyter Notebook. You can see it here. So let's assume I do this markdown. I do -2 hash like this. I can say second introduction. You can see it. So it shows you this. We will discuss more on this, how to this. This is what we call markdown. We'll explain it in our next session. Yeah, so there's another thing, export. You can export this markdown, this Jupyter, as either HTML, Python script, that is the PY, or as HTML or as PDF. So you can export the Jupyter content as either PDF, as either HTML, as either. So when I say export it as PDF, let's see what happens. So I now export it as PDF, and now where I save it, when I open it, I'll be able to see as PDF. That is, one of the functionality. Yeah. So, but now we now see a lot of functionalities on how we can use Vscode, Jupyter Notebook. This allows you, you can see, to add code. You can see this allows you to add markdown. When I click here, code, you can see it's Python. When I click markdown, you can see markdown. It allows you to type, only stop, because when you write, it will show you an error. So where you have Python, you can only write Python code. So here you can see when I have code, I can write Python code. 1 + 1, for example, is Python code. But you cannot write something which is not. When I have markdown, I can write plain English in it. This allows you to run all. This allows you to do restart, and this allows you to clear all the output. This allows you, it's called kernel picker, allows you to select the kernel or the the environment you create. Yeah, not only Python here, there are a lot of stuff. You can see markdown, a lot of JavaScript, Perl, Ruby, SQL, XML, but remember we are only using Python. That's why we have this one. Okay, now we understand how we can basically use Jupyter Notebook to run some Python. Now the next thing is how can you start a new data science project with Jupyter Notebook? Now what we need to do is create a folder on your computer. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
okay. How can I start a new data science project using Vscode? What you need to do is just create a folder on your computer, example, so that you can just see. Okay. Anyway, the first thing is create a folder, a project folder in your computer. So let me create a folder on my computer in desktop. Let me create a folder. You may not be able to see, I think, my folder, but let me just create a folder. Just create a normal folder you do also. Right. All right. Vscode, okay, new folder. Let me call it RODS sample. Okay, so I have a folder now on my computer. I just create a folder on my computer. So if you want to do something, for example, we already show you, like ask you to create a folder on your computer and clone it, right? You create a folder and clone it on your computer. Now you already have an existing folder. So what you need to do is go to that, you go to file, you can see go to file. When you go to file, open folder, you can see open folder. Then you see open folder. Maybe you may not be seeing my screen, but it shows me where to select the folder is. So the folder is in my desktop. So now I select the folder and open. So let me change my settings so that you'll be able to see my whole computer. Okay, Can you see? Yes, now you can see. So you can see what I said is go to File, Open Folder. You can see I open folder. I go to folder. So here you can see Vscode. I have array sample. So now I get this. Now, if a Jupyter notebook folder, I can go to my command palette. I said create new Jupyter notebook. Can you see it's
I think
Jupyter notebook?
your screen is
not safe, right? I can say it's
not showing properly.
Hello?
Your screen is booting, but it's not showing, sir.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Internet. Yeah. It's so bad. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. It's just a screen we are not seeing.
Okay. You cannot see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see it now. We can see it now. Just shown.
Okay, okay. So what you need to do is, I said I created a folder on my computer. It's called, you want to do project, that folder is where I will be doing stuff. So I open it here, you can see ROD sample, but nothing inside it. When you want to create file inside that folder, you can create this like this. You can see some, testing, because you can say testing file.py. So this is, but what if I want to create Jupyter? I can also say testing. I can also testing, but Jupyter notebook extension is the IPYNB. You don't necessarily need to go and create new Jupyter notebook. You can just type the name of the file and type the extension. When I do this, you can see testing IPYNB. This is Jupyter. So you can see it's detecting if my canal, I elect my canal and said, use a particular. So you can start doing your data science whatsoever, and you create more Jupyter file. You can see now I have two Python files. This is Python py. If you want to, you can see here it's called file. For you to create a new file, I can type testing2, IPYNB. It's been creating another Jupyter file. If you want to inside this, you can for okay. Yeah, today my network is terribly bad. Yeah, sorry for that. Right now it's already 1 hour, but I'm happy to go over to anything that you people, is not quite clear, because today we have some kind of issue with the internet. But this is just the way, if you follow this, what we already discussed, this is it. Any question?
Thank you, sir. My question is about the difference between Jupyter and Google Colab. You say with Google Colab, one can do machine learning. What about with the Jupyter? Please. Thank you.
You say what?
I said more difference between Jupyter and Google Colab.
Oh,
you
good.
Say with
Okay.
With Google Colab, one can be able to do machine learning apart from being online.
Yes.
What about for Jupyter, please? Thank you.
What is the difference between Vscode and Google Colab?
Jupyter and Google Colab.
Okay, Jupyter and Google Colab. Okay. So Google Colab is just this. So you can see here, if you want to write code, you write 1 + 1, right? If you want to write text, you write this, you write your text, and after you finish, you can see your text. So Google Colab is just a form of Jupyter Notebook as well, but it's owned by Google. And if you want to use, high-end feature for Google Colab, you need to pay. This is not free service. In any way, they provide some limited free service that you can use. But if you want to use, if you want to use some of the, high-end services, you need to pay. So, for example, let me show you Colab subscription. So you can see the Colab subscription. You need to pay, but you can see it pay as you Colab $9.49 per month, $49.49 Colab Pro Enterprise. But for you as a basic beginner, you can use Colab for free. But if you want to use some other high-end features, you need to pay. But as you can see, the Google Colab is something like Jupyter. Also, you need to add code cell for writing Python code. It just Jupyter import pandas as PD, right? But the most important thing, as I said, this is cloud-based. In your computer, you may have only 2 gig RAM. You may not be able to run some code or some, model. But on Jupyter, on Google Colab, because it's Google backend, you'll be able to run a lot of things faster. We'll discuss more about this, Google Colab as well. But for now, what we'll focus on is we are using the, Jupyter Notebook. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Another good question. Somebody was asking, how do we push the Jupyter Notebook code to repository? It is the same as process we do in our terminal. That is a good question. We need to discuss this, but because we already have time limited, tomorrow we will start doing our 30 days of Python. I will hopefully take us through the example of how you can push your code to, to GitHub repository. But before that, make sure you install the extension I already showed you, which is this extension, GitHub repository. You can install this one, GitHub repository.